Peter and the rock. We're talking about Peter and Jesus in this lesson. And we're going through a few moments in the life of Peter that are very intimate, but at the same time very much revealing of his thoughts and his emotions, and of Jesus, of course. We get to know them better. When reading the passages from the book of Matthew included in this lesson, we get to feel and to touch, and it's almost like we're in their setting. So, Peter and Jesus like nowhere else in the gospel, unforgettable moments.
Yes, this is not a study on Peter, but by looking at some of the stories in Matthew 16 and 17, the focus is on the interactions between Jesus and Peter. The disciples went through some extraordinary experiences with Jesus, and now he's starting to prepare them for the culmination that is coming. Are they getting it?
It was the time in the events in Jesus' life where the things were getting pretty much very serious. He wasn't that quiet and unnoticeable teacher anymore. People were talking about him. He was getting popular. Jesus takes an advantage of an intimate gathering in a secluded place and asks the disciples the questions. Who do you think I am? And Peter is short and to the point. You are Christ. You are the Son of the living God.
Jesus was trying to provoke them to think. What are the people talking about me? Who are they saying that I am? Who do you think that I am? Peter has no hesitation. His mind and his heart exclaims, "You are the Christ!" We are so used to these words today, but this is a very big realization.
And I was thinking, like, what kind of an impression should have Jesus made in Peter's mind that he would think of Jesus of something more than just a teacher or a leader or more than a human being. Peter should have been very much impressed by what Jesus was doing and what he was talking about and how he handled life situations. Jesus acknowledged that as a strong foundation of relationship with him, and also that this will be the pillar that the whole Christian movement will hang on when battling with the dark forces in the future.
When our eyes open and we realize that Jesus is not just a messenger or the one preparing the way, but that he is actually the one who is in control and has power over life, it's incredible. Jesus is the rock, and on him is built everything that we are holding to. Peter, his name may have the meaning of stone, but he is human. And just 6 verses after this high moment when he recognizes the Christ, he gets called Satan.
And I have never been more shocked than that, an event in which Jesus calls one of his disciples Satan.
No.
But it's not out of the blue. It's in response to what Peter says in a private-like setting. What does Peter say? And why does Jesus call him with this most despised name in the scripture?
Why?
Probably because Peter is not tuned with Jesus anymore as we see him giving the statement earlier. He has overstepped his prerogatives, as the lesson points out, and instead of following Jesus, he has turned on the steering Jesus mode, like he knew better than his masters. Confidence is good and past experience with Jesus is precious. Sincere concern about him is a powerful feeling, but sometimes we can cross that line, and Peter did it. Jesus was firm and rebuked his intentions.
Are we trying to steer Jesus sometimes too? Learning to follow is not an easy experience. Building relationship, faith, trust, being able to let the wheel go is the struggle of our lives. But it's exciting too, because we are in it with Jesus and he has ways to make it very interesting.
And Jesus kept Peter close to him regardless of his downfalls. Chosen to be on the Mount of the Transfiguration, Peter grew stronger in his faith. What a special moment to meet Moses and Elijah and to hear the Father's voice. And another occasion, confronted with the temple tax collectors, Peter failed and lost ground again. For Peter, it's always up and down. And Jesus, on the contrary, encouraged his faith and reminded Peter who is the real sustainer and creator in this world. Jesus was always fighting back to rebuild Peter's faith and to make him strong and grounded as Jesus was.
Can you imagine seeing realities from God's world, like at the Mount of the Transfiguration? Witnessing such intimate sight of Jesus, like his struggles, the encouragement. Maybe not the same, but we could all have similar moments if we stick to and grow our relationship with Jesus. Now, the story with the temple tax is malicious, and Peter got into the trap. Matthew 17:24. When they had come to Capernaum, those who received the temple tax came to Peter and said, "Does your teacher not pay the temple tax?" And Peter said, Yes. If Jesus was the Christ, he shouldn't be paying it. Priests, Levites, rabbis, they were all exempt, but Peter said, yes. False theology, some may say, but the way Jesus handled it was so creative and educative. He demonstrated authority and at the same time avoided unnecessary conflict. Peter was on a ride of a lifetime.
He was. Join us next week when we will continue learning some lessons from Jesus.